Okay, peace and shalom, family. Peace and shalom. Just gonna give a second for everybody to come into the room. We're gonna make this session short. I think enough was said earlier in the dialogue that I had with River. But I'm just gonna open this up to maybe further elaborate on some things, share a couple things, maybe answer a few questions. But I'm definitely not gonna stay on here long. It's not my intention to, but let's see who jumps in. If we have enough people jumping in, great. If not, then I guess I'll just close it down for a live. So I plan to go live on Monday evening as well, just so y'all know. So we'll see how this goes. And then Monday evening, I'll be going live before the month is out as well. So y'all can definitely tune in and join us then. So I want to say shalom to Sharon Hammonds in the building. What's going on? Let's see. Let's wait to see who else jumps in. All right. Okay, so I guess we don't have too many people tuning into this, so Jetson says 2 in 1 night. Yeah, let me know. I mean, if we get enough people, then I'll build. If not, then I'll just reschedule for the session that I planned for Monday evening. So let's just see who shows up here for this one. Shalom again. Shalom. Shout out to Jetson Silencio, Majid Bynes. What's going on? Sister Janae is in here with us. O'Shea White. Shalom. Yawasop, son of light. What's going on? Main man. My brother says, how can I start a KHM in Kansas City? I'm honored to hear that, my brother, that you're interested in helping us to expand our ministry organization to help resolve societal ills in your city, in your community. So in order for us to get started out there, we would need at least 10 people to request for us to be out there. Once we tally 10 people, we'll have enough individuals to delegate roles to, so that way we can get a chapter started. So if you know 9 other people, let me know. We got a couple of requests from Kansas City. So if we get 10 or more requests to come out to Kansas City, then we will physically come out there and get it set it up. However, main man, if you want to virtually join our organization in the interim until we physically come out there, you can download our app, right? So go to your Apple App Store, Google Play Store, download the My One Church app. And once you download and install that, in zip code type 30064, you'll see Kingdom Harvest Ministry show up. Click on that entry. Once you get in there, at the top left, there's 3 horizontal bars. Click onto that. It's going to give you a drop-down menu. From there, you're going to click on Forms and click on Membership Details. So download and install the app. Open it up. In the zip code field, type 30064. Hit Enter. You'll see Kingdom Harvest Ministry show up. Click onto that. Once you do that, at the top left, 3 horizontal bars. Click onto that. And that drop-down, you want to click on where it says Membership Details. Click onto that and then add your information so we can log you in. All right, because we don't have a KHM City chapter yet, because if we did, you can go into the groups and be able to add yourself to there, but we don't have one set up there yet. So we're taking in membership details so we can scan all the people that's interested, and then with that data we can make determinations on what places that we want to go and set up shop at. All right, so I appreciate the interest, my brother, and I look forward to having you on board, man, with the team so we can get this work done. You know, I appreciate it, man. Shout out to Kevin J, brother, if you're serious about your soul salvation, let me know, right? And we can probably talk about that if you're truly interested about it. As long as you're sincere, you're not trolling, I'm more than happy to have a authentic dialogue with you, right? But if you're trolling, then it's not going to be edifying to you nor the viewing audience, right? So if you're serious, you know, just let me know. All right, I'm gonna send you the link. You can get on and we can have a talk. All right. Shout out to Zachariah, John, Yuda 77, Consuelo F, Shalom sis, Coco G. What's up? Jessica Armstead, 12 Pearls. What's going on, family? All right. So we're gonna give another moment for y'all to join on in. You know what I'm saying? We're going to see if we have a decent showing for this second session. If we do, I'll go in. If not, then I'll just end it short and we'll just resume on Monday. All right. So I'll give it a moment. All right. So as you come on in, hit that thumbs up button, making sure you share this video. And if we get enough people in here, we'll get started. Okay, well, if that's the case, Kevin, I can set the link. You can get on and we can chat. All right, if you're serious. Shout out to my brother, Coach Vaughn Parker in the building. Yashab Awam, what's going on? Apostle Wilkinson, blessings to you as well. Cheryl, what's going on? Gartrell McKinney, shalom, shalom. All right, so I didn't really promote this Freestyle Friday. That's probably why we don't have a packed house, but it's okay. I mean, if y'all want me to have a regular show, just let me know. Just hit the 1 and we can proceed and see what happens tonight, or hit 2 and we can just reconvene on the next scheduled session, which I have set up for Monday evening. All right, y'all just let me know. All right. I had to take a moment and detox from that earlier discussion. You know what I'm saying? That was a lot because I thought we was going to get somewhere with it and we didn't. So I was just a little frustrated that we didn't really get that far along. And then he had computer issues, and then he posted, you know, in the group chat as well as inbox me that his computer crashed and everything. So he was having a hard time, you know, between his computer and the dogs telling him throw in the towel. I mean, the brother still persisted. So I don't know. I told him he's welcome for a part 2 anytime. Let me know. And the door's open. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. All right. Shout out to Dara Yahoo Ben Dora in the building. What's going on? D. Glenn Royal. What's up? Linda Ricks. What's going on? Stephen Mikhail Key. Sydney Woods. Shalom, my brother. Thank you so much for your contributions. I appreciate it. Yehuda Ben Israel. What's going on? Thank you, everybody, for showing love, man. That last live, man. That was an impromptu. Y'all showed up in numbers and showed support. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that. You know, again, I'm gonna work in the future to have our Freestyle Fridays a little bit earlier, maybe 10 p.m., 9:30, 10 p.m., to give us some buffer time if we go into overtime. And I think that we'll have more people joining us during that time. I know a lot of people say all the time that, you know, they want to catch the live. So I want to try to start accommodating people as much as possible. Okay. DJ said, yes, unless you're tired. It's okay. You know, I'm here to serve y'all. If y'all want me to be on here and talk with y'all for a little bit, I have no problem with that. That's what this show is here for, for the community. So I'm here for it. If it's just us, you know what I'm saying, that's in here, that's no problem as well. Shout out to Junior in the building. What's going on? All right. If y'all have any questions, you can start asking questions. I'll take questions on tonight. And then towards the end, I'll open up the link. So that way, if anybody wants more smoke, they can definitely let me know, right? Because we got the chimney ready to go. All right. And I'm collecting the firewood as we speak. So if somebody wants to smoke, is all good. Tell them to come down that chimney like Santa Claus and they can get all the smoke. You understand what I'm saying? But the Surgeon General's warning is that if you take in all this smoke, it can cause spiritual cancer. So be careful with that. Be careful. All right. Thank you so much, Linda Ricks. Do whatever is best for you, Brother Divine. I appreciate that. Thank y'all for being so caring, man. Y'all really concerned about a brother, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Shout out to M. Moore in the building. Shalom. What's going on? And Audrey Daniels. What's up? What's up? Candace Daniels. What's going on? What's going on? Are y'all related? Candace and Audrey? I think y'all related, right? Let me know. Let me know. Anonymous Hebrew. Shalom. What's going on? Welcome. Welcome. All right. All right. So Zechariah John Yehud Yuda 77 says, what is your position on the location of ancient Israel, Upper Africa or Lower Africa? My position is that ancient Israel is in the place that it's always reported to have been, which is in Northeast Africa, on the Northeast African portion of the tectonic plate of Africa, which is present day Israel, Palestine today, right? That's my position. I had discussions with people. Okay, cool. Thank you for that, Candace. Thank you for that. It's excellent to see both of y'all in here. You know, welcome, Daniels. Thank y'all for your support and for joining on in here with us. So I had discussions with people in regards to the subject matter, in regards to the location of ancient Israel. I've heard so many different positions on this. The issue that I have is that there are things that need to be substantiated, such as crops, different animals that we can validate, do zoo archaeology, different fauna and plants and stuff that we find in archaeology as well, seeds that we find in those regions as well, and as well as the Bedouin tribes that still exist in ancient Israel. So some arguments could be that, hey, if you go to the authorities in Israel, well, there is some kind of conspiracy and they're trying to tell everybody Israel's here, but it's really somewhere else. And I say, okay, that's great. However, when you go and you speak to the Bedouin tribes, and the Bedouin tribes are the ones that's on the outskirts of society, the one that society itself don't care about, look down upon, they can substantiate traditionally over things that they maintain for thousands of years, the name places, animals, plants, crops, all of that, just by studying the Bedouin tribes, right? That they can substantiate the things that's in the text as far as the environment is concerned, okay, which is extremely important. All right, so that's my position on it, that it's where it's always been. I understand that there's a lot of people that are trying to block information from coming to our community. I understand that. However, there's too much existential data by way of material culture of the archaeology for us to prove that it's actually in that region itself. All right, because then, whoever makes this argument that it's somewhere else have to then explain all these other tribes outside of Israel, their locations, anything that we find, like, for example, the Mesha stela that was found. You have to be able to substantiate that the Moabites is in the region that you say they're in, proxy to Israel in another location, right? You have to validate that. And it takes a lot of work to do that. A lot of times when people put this stuff out, they haven't really, gone through all of the nuances to be able to put forth that claim thoroughly. You understand what I'm saying? Audrey Daniels, yes, there is. There's tons of arguments about it. Now, Audrey, I don't know if you've seen previous videos I did. I had a discussion with a brother who said that it's in Kenya. Had a discussion with a brother that says that it was in North America. One that said it was in South America. One that says it's somewhere else in Africa. I've had these discussions before, and to me, it's just a lot of times people are overzealous and they try to overtalk you because they lack evidence in a lot of places. So I typically just back off of those discussions. I already had them on here with several people. And to me, it's just, like I said, you got to look at and I say it again, look at the environmental data to see if it lines up. And if it does, then you have a good case. All right. Well, Zachariah, that's a good point. However, it depends on which part of the strata you're talking about. All right. So there are animals that are found there, but they're in the lower stratum, right? The lower stratum. So it depends on how far you dig and the dating process of each portion of those digs, right? So some can be dated to what we call the Stone Age. Then you have the Bronze Age, you have the Iron Age, etc. Right? So there are some animals and plants that are non-existent today or extinct that did exist about 1,000 years ago or 2,500 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So Junior, facts. I got you. Facts. Exactly, Audrey. Exactly. And that's through oral tradition. We get that as well. All right. From the tribes that are still there that claim Israelite lineage or heritage. Okay. Shout out to Sister V Loving and building. What's going on? Hosea Yahawada. He says, what is your position on the flu vaccine or any vaccine for that matter? Well, I don't subscribe to the flu vaccine, which means I don't take it. Have I taken a flu vaccine in my life? I probably did a long time ago before I became conscious of the stuff. In 2010, about 11 years ago, I became conscious about health. And that's when I committed to stop taking any kind of vaccines, right? So that's my position on that. Am I telling people not to take vaccines? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm telling people is that you need to focus on fortifying your health through nutrition, supplementation, and moderate exercise. That's my position on that. All right. All right. So, Shay, yeah, definitely, my brother. I already know where you're coming from. We've had these talks before, so I understand and I know the position you take. That's why I don't completely rule it out. My thing is, I just ask certain questions to help whoever's proposing that idea to make sure that they've covered the full garment. You know what I'm saying? And they looked at, crossed all their T's, dotted all their I's. Well, yes, and are able to answer questions as it pertains to the material culture. Okay. So that's what that was. All right. But yes, O'Shea, keep being sharp, my brother. We're going to have a bill on that one day. When I come out there to Houston, I want you to be ready. We're going to sit down and record a bill. We're going to have a good bill on that. Theistic evolution, as well as the location of ancient Israel. Okay. All right. Shalom to my brother William, aka Reckless Animosity in the building. What's going on? What's going on? Damon Baziel. What's going on, family? What's going on? All right. So anybody else have any questions? Any other questions? Let me know. Are there any Christians or conscious folk in the chat that got smoked? Let me know. If not, then I'm probably going to end this early if y'all don't have a lot of questions. You know what I'm saying? Hosea, I understand that. So, that's a very perplexing position to be in because it's very difficult as a government worker to get exempt from taking vaccinations. And yes, some vaccinations do have gelatin in it. Let me show you guys for the record if you're interested to see which ones do have it in it. And again, the purpose of it is to maintain the integrity of the actual vaccination itself, right? So let me show it to y'all. Not all of them have it, but a good amount of them do have it. All right. All right. So check this out. Let me show it to y'all here on the screen. All right, let me bring it up on the screen. And again, you can get medical exemption if you can show an allergy to it. The religious exemption, it depends on what state you want, because all states don't honor that. I know New York stopped honoring it as well. I know a lot of people from New York, because I'm originally from New York, who have came to me about it. And I said, yo, we can't exempt you out of it because they don't accept religious exemption. However, remember I showed y'all the International Decade for People of African Descent, working group of experts for the people of African descent. We can make appeals to that group to look into this claim that we have that this violates our culture, right? So we can take it to a next step if we work together collectively, right? But just check the screen, right? It says gelatin is contained in some vaccines to protect vaccine viruses from adverse conditions such as freeze drying or heat. Remember, I told you the integrity of it, particularly during transport and delivery. Gelatin is a protein formed by boiling skin or connective tissue. Gelatin is used to stabilize vaccines so that they remain effective after manufacture. All gelatin contained in vaccines is porcine in origin. Now, what's this from? The Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Now, why is that a legit source? Because they dispense vaccines there. Okay. So which vaccines? Gelatin content of vaccines licensed in the United States from 2009. All right. The live attenuated influenza, measles, mumps, rubella. And it tells you the quantity per dose, right? The measles, mumps, rubella has 14.5 milligrams, right? Measles, mumps, rubella, varicella has 11 milligrams, rabies, typhoid, oral, varicella by itself, yellow fever. And these are the ones that have it, right? So if you're getting a vaccine or a child getting a vaccine or whatever, these are the vaccines that contain your gelatin, okay? All right. So hopefully that helps with that. The other one, let me see, because a lot of people talk about the peanut oils, and my daughter has a corn allergy, and again, this depends on if the peanut oil is raw or if it's refined. If it's refined, you're really not going to get an allergic reaction to it, but if it's raw, you definitely will. Okay, you definitely will. Right. But in regards to gelatin, here it is. And you can click right here, or you can look it up yourself and get more details in regards to the contents or ingredients of those particular vaccines. All right. So hopefully that helps. All right. Mark Moore says, do you have a 2021 calendar? No, we do not. We won't have one available until February. By February, everything should be done, and it'll be available before the feast days begin. Okay. All right. I'm for Jerusalem. I'm so-called black, and I'm just trying to see what you think about that. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. What do you mean by that? Did I miss something? For Jerusalem, I don't see nothing else there. So, oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay, I think this is what you're talking about. I mentioned this before, and I said the documentary called Despierta Mi Gente, that was done by brother Awanyasap from GOCC at the time, back in 2015, and brother Mala'ak of AOC put together a documentary where they gave a good case for some Israelites being in the Americas. Very good case where they went and looked at all the sources from travelers, missionaries, colonists that came here, as well as spoke to a professor in Puerto Rico for further details as well. So they kind of made a good case for it. So before I was closed-minded to it. After that, I was open-minded to it. However, my area of study focuses on the diaspora or the scattered Israelites from west coast of Africa, right? West and South Africa, West, Central, and South Africa. All right. Okay. So Damon Baziel says they may say take it in order to enter back into society. That could happen. We're going to see in 2021 when this vaccine is dropped how they impose it on us. Okay, because most people are going to be lining up for it because they buying into the hype. So most people are going to line up for it. And those who don't, I would love to see what happens. I mean, I would definitely make the case for herd immunity, but they may say that may take some years before it's distributed all over and we can see the effects of it. So I don't know. We'll see. All right. Oh, Jack Max. No, I didn't see it. I'll go check it out after this and see what's up. All right. So Yawasop says, where can I get information on adoptionism? Excellent question. In the Patreon, which I think you're a Patreon member, Yawasop, there's some books that I dropped in there. I'll bring it up on the screen so you can take a look at it real quick. There's some books that I dropped that go into the position of the quote unquote Jewish Christians, right? Because this was considered a heresy in patristic sources. Okay. So here's some books that go into their doctrine. And from here, you can pretty much discern from the information they shared from the patristic sources about them subscribing to adoptionism. Okay. Here's one book. It's called The Early Centuries Jewish Believers in Jesus by Oscar Scarsone and Rydar Havalik. And then the other one is Recovering Jewish Christian Sects and Gospels by Petri Leo Menon. All right. And both of these books go into detail about that. You also have Nazarene Jewish Christianity from the end of the New Testament period until its disappearance in the 4th century. All right. These books are available on the Patreon, or you or anybody else can just email us at kingdomharmony@gmail.com and we can send you the sources, and you'll see adoptionism laid out in there via patristic sources and also other insertions from academia in analyzing the subject matter. Okay. All right. So hopefully that answers your question, my brother. All right. Slow flow. Yes, it does, but it just depends on what state you're in. For New York, it's not going to work no more, unfortunately. All right. Shout out to my brother James in the building. What's going on? Erica Yashel 112. Yes, it does, sis. It does. And I'm gonna tell you how it does. Go back and check out that last dialogue me and Vocab Malone had, and then go back and check out the debate I had with So Real. Right, the whole eschatology is messed up when you don't know who the real Israelites are. You don't even care. You know what I'm saying? It throws it off. It definitely throws it off. Right. Let me see. All right. So John and Dorothy says, Brother Divine, according to your belief and studies, if the word entered, became one with Christ after baptism, what happened to the word after his death, burial, and resurrection? It fused with him. It fused with him. And if you go back and watch the lecture series I did, it's called El Shaddai, Yod He Wafe, El Elyon, Three of a Kind are one and the same. Part 4 is when I go into detail about that. All right. I talk about fusion. All right. So you can go back and check that out. All right. So the Orthodox more excellent question. What is your position on the Lemma DNA GD match controversy? Are you aware of slaves taken from Mozambique and sold in Haiti, Brazil, and Spanish South America? Yes, I'm familiar with that history. Matter of fact, I showed some books on that. Yeah, here's a good book. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Hold on. Let me show you. Let me see if I can find it in my library. I'm gonna have to find it. What I'll do is I'll probably post it in the community tab or throw it up on Patreon. But I have a really good book that goes into history about that particular slave trade in Mozambique. So in regards to the Lemba and DNA from GDG controversy, I know what the argument is 2 and 4. My position is, again, where I stand on DNA is that DNA is not definitive. And the reason why I say this is because we have not extracted any aDNA from any known Israelite skeletal remains. And your aDNA will be extracted from the petrous bone in the skull, where it's best preserved, in order for us to determine that anything we measure against it is actually Israelite. Right. So to me, the verdict is still out until, you know, the community in Israel that deals with these excavations and preservation of these bones and skeletal remains are willing to yield to academic requests to sequence the genome of these known Israelite sites, so that way it can be measured against the people that exist today. Anything else other than that is something that is what we call a hypothesis. All right, that's the farthest that it goes. All right. All right. So ICU Code says I'm on part 4 of the 3 of a kind, one in the same series, and it's fire. Do you have any of those Ugaritic texts in the Patreon? I haven't seen them. Yes, I do. ICU Code. I do actually have it. The one about the Cloud Rider. I have that in there. Or just email me, ICU Code. Email me. Anything you see in there you want, email me and I'll shoot it right to you. Okay. I'll get it right over to you. Thank you, sister. Nisi's PC, she put the link to the playlist for that lecture series. Okay. So Derayahu Bendora, of course, we talked about this before offline. I have no problem talking about that. And again, just bring your sources and let's have a build. All right. We can always schedule that for some time in the future and we can just do a one-on-one and we can build on it. All right. All right. Renewed mind. All praise to the Most High. You're amazing. You're in here again for the people. Shout out to your family. They must be an amazing support system for you. Yes, they are. And I love my family and I appreciate them for that, as well as everybody else in here that supports everything that I do and that we as a team KHM that we do. I'm here like right now, just answering questions for you guys and providing clarity and sources if you need it. And again, if there's any needs in the community, feel free to email us and we'll do our best to fulfill it if we can. And if not, we'll be able to get you somewhere where it can be done. Okay. But have some patience with us because we get a lot of requests, a lot of things come in and it takes some time to process things. All right. So don't think that we're ignoring you or anything like that. It's okay to politely harass us. You know what I'm saying? Give us reminders. I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that, Renew Nine. Thank you so much for that. So Damon Baziel says, can you download the PDF books in the Patreon? Yes. So if you go to the Patreon, let me see if I can show you guys an example of what I'm talking about on the Patreon. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can show it to y'all. So if you go to the Patreon, wait for this to line up. All right. And let me bring this back here. Oh, this thing just crashed. All right. If you go to the Patreon, all right. So let me give you an example of it so you can see. Let me share my screen. All right. So when you get to the Patreon, you'll be able to see. Well, let me move this out the way. You'll be able to see where I say book suggestions, the land is their land, and then you have a summary of what the book is about. And then at the bottom, you have a reference that says, let me scooch it down some more. It says, check out this book from DivineProspect's personal collection for free here. And it gives you a link. And when you go to the link, it gives you access to the library that we're building for Patreon. And you can go back and read this book at no additional cost. All right. Also, if you go to the Patreon, there is tags at the top. One of them says book suggestion. Just click on that. You'll see all the book suggestions we have. Click on the link, and the link at the bottom will give you access. I just received a comment where somebody said, Ocean Blue, said that they didn't know that they can access these books. Yeah, they just thought it was a book suggestion. No, click on it, the link to the post, and go to the bottom, and there's a link that you can click on, and it brings you to the actual library where you can click on and actually read the PDF for that book. All right. So I want everybody to get everything that they need out of that. All right. So John and Dorothy, do you want to get on and have a dialogue real quick? Let me know. All right. Appreciate that, my brother Jack Max, man. Been rocking with me for a long time. I appreciate that investment, my brother. Thank you so much, man. Like I said, I'll get to your question as soon as I'm done with this live. All right. And again, I won't make it too long because I didn't have nothing planned. I wanted to do the debate as part of Freestyle Friday, but he said he can only do it early in the day. So that's why we have what we have here, a personal moment where we could just talk and build and go from there. Make sure as y'all come on in, hit that thumbs up button. All right. All right. So no problem, John and Dorsey. I would love for you to get on so we could just talk. I'm not looking to debate, right? Like people come to me to debate. I just want to talk and build with people, which I've demonstrated, but people come at me with wanting to debate, as y'all seen earlier today. I didn't ask for that, right? So if you want to come on, my brother, please click on the link. Let's talk, let's build. I'll show you what I can and provide you my stance and the references for my stance, all right? Cool. All right, cool. So let me drop the link in there, and John, you can jump on in and let's talk. All right, let's build. All right, Junior, I thought I answered your question. Maybe not. Oh, about John 20:17. It says, Jesus said unto her, touch me not, for I am not descended to my Father, but go to my brethren and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father. I believe that's what the rest of that says from memory. So what would you like me to break down, the touch me not part? Is that what you're talking about? Let me know. Okay, Andre Waverez, what's going on, my brother? Any books to help studying Genesis? Thank you for your service in the family at KHM. Of course, we're here to serve y'all. Any books and help study Genesis? Yes. But I think the best way to go through Genesis is to, let me see, because Genesis is very varied, right? So there's a lot of components to it. So there's the part with the cosmogony, there's a part with the anthropogenesis, then there's a part where man has established government and rule on the earth. Then is when Abraham is chosen, and then Isaac and Jacob, and then Joseph. And then it closes out with Joseph and his brothers going into Misraim. So it just depends on what part of it that you want to learn about. But if you go on this channel and type in Divine Prospect Genesis, I did a teleconference I was invited to where I start to go into the book of Genesis. So you may want to check that out. Let me know what you think. And if you have any questions, concerns, email me and we'll hook you up. All right. Appreciate that. All right. All right. So I see John is in the building. Peace and shalom and blessings, my brother. You there, John? John, you there? I can't hear you. Hello? John, are you there? Can you hear me? Dero Yahoo Bendora, yes. The Cultural Background Study Bible can definitely help with that. I agree. I trust a lot of the commentary in there. I agree. Again, for the question you asked, I don't know what happened to him. I'm not sure what happened. Slow flow. What was that? Email me, my brother. Let me help you work that out. Whatever that may be. All right. Email me. This is it right here. Can y'all hear me? Hit one if y'all can hear me. Oh, okay, John. That's not me. Okay, no problem. Hold on. Let me see. Let me show you the Cultural Background Study Bible. Excellent. That's how I know the people that watch this show follow along with the references that's given. And I appreciate that. So here it is right here. And this will help you, my brother, go through Genesis. This is a sampler version that goes into Genesis and Matthew. And I actually have it available on the Patreon. It goes through the entire book of Genesis, right? Even as a sample. So if you want to email me, or if you're on the Patreon, just search it up and you'll see it. Okay. So thank you for that, Doriyahu. I appreciate that. All right. Shalom to Sis Renewed Mind. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. We're trying. Shout out to my brother Lucky Lou in the building. He says the lessons of El Shaddai, Yod, Hey, Wav, Hey was fire. Quick question. Menorahs for Hanukkah. Any tips on which to get? No, because we're not reconstructing something that is faithful to what was in the temple, because that particular one had its purpose. So any kind of replica that you have should be fine. If you have something in mind that you want to purchase, my brother, just tell me what it is. And then I'll go look at it for you. Like email it to me. Like if you have a link, like something on Amazon, something, email it to me. I'll look at it for you and I'll let you know, okay, this is good. I'll say, nah, not really. You know what I'm saying? So I'll do my best to help you out with that. Okay. All right. Shout out to my brother G Brown. Thank you so much, King. I appreciate that. So my brother Village Faction, he says, is the stream y'all for anyone? Sure. If anybody want to jump on, that's fine. I would love for John. I think he's back on. Let me see. John, you there? You there, John?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you sound very low.
Yeah, let me see.
Oh, there you go. That's much better. That's much better.
Is that better now?
Yes, it is. I can hear you clearly.
Cool. Hey, I wasn't planning. Thanks for having me on. I wasn't planning on coming on. So, shalom.
Shalom. It's all good, my brother. You're welcome. What would you like to build on?
So basically, I've watched the lecture series of El Shaddai. Was it one and three through the same? Can't remember.
Yes.
So a lot of, and I was raised up. First of all, I'm in Melbourne, Australia. So
okay,
I was. Cool. I'm originally from East Africa, so I was raised in obviously Christianity, but
did you
Anglican?
Email me recently?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. Yes. I recognize you. Okay, my brother, go ahead.
Yeah, so in Christianity they talk about obviously the Trinity.
Correct.
So, like for me, based on what I read in the scripture, like I don't interpret it that way, and the way in which you've, especially in the discussion you were having earlier with Rivers or River, that the angle from which you are coming from, like that applies more to the way I interpret the scripture. So my point, basically, I saw you previously answered my question there. Thanks for that. But what I wanted to ask was, if Christ fused with the Word after his death, after his burial and resurrection, death, burial, and resurrection, is the Word now basically in him and only in him, or is obviously a part of it also somewhere else, like with the Most High, for example, because it is basically, it is the Most High, but within him. So
Yeah.
what's your view on that?
That's a great question. So remember, I was talking to River earlier, and I was telling him about the part where we was getting to the word genomai, and genomai is really the word for like becoming, but it's conjugated in the actual text itself in a way where it is some kind of transition, right, from something from one point to another. And what I was trying to explain, I mean, I was trying to get from him to see what his stance was on that. And that's why I mentioned the virgin birth and stuff like that. Because when we get into the actual word that's there, it shows that egeneto is like a kind of it's called like the aorist indicative, middle person indicative, which means that it is an action that is ongoing. And the aorist tense is it can vary because you have different types of aorist tense, but it's like almost like a ongoing thing. It's not the past tense. It just means something started at some point and it's continuing on, right? So, and it's indicative, which means looking at the suffix modification lets you know that is an indicative thing. The inflection of the verb is indicative, which means they're trying to tell you that this is what happened, right? At some point in time, it occurred. It's not being specific on when that happened, but it's something that happened. And I'm saying that's when the fusion began, and it did not stop from there, right? So when the Ruach came upon him, that fused with him, right? So at that moment, that's when the deity element came about, and it stayed with him. Now, the interesting thing is when you stay in the book of John, John is telling disciples that, you know, it's suffice that I need to go, because in my place, I'm going to send the Paraclete, right? I'm going to send the comforter. I'm going to send the Holy Spirit, right? So he is the agent of the word, and the word represents the spirit, but the spirit is also an outpouring. So it's not just like it's constrained to just him as an entity, right? That's in Shemayim, but it's something that he is now given authority over, the dispensing of the spirit and the movement and operation of the spirit, because the word is part of that essence. Did you have something in particular, like a verse or something in mind that I can exegete for you to kind of explain a little further?
Well, I'm not sure if you saw my previous. Oh, by the way, am I okay? Because I put up the mic volumes just so I could set.
Yeah, you fine.
Okay,
you fine.
cool.
I can hear you.
So in my previous message, I was just asking if there's any scripture that actually gives any insight, because I have these discussions a lot, and I have these discussions in particular with my Muslim brothers. Okay, so is there anything in the New Testament that shows or speaks about the fusion or his new state of being, Christ, that is, after his resurrection, even something that is in relation to the kingdom to come, or the two kingdoms to come? Because the way I see it, if I can jump ahead, the way I see it, and this is mainly from the book of Revelations, just from what I've come across, like studying Christ's kingdom and the Father's kingdom. So is there anything even that within those scriptures, I think even Isaiah even references, I think they reference Isaiah when they wrote some of those scriptures, or whoever the author was. So is there anything that shows like this being, because obviously with his body being his temple being made being put in a position which allowed the spirit, the word, to enter him.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it might be something similar that happens to those who are called upon to meet him in the
Correct.
kingdom to come. So could that maybe be like the when, in terms of whichever books that speak on that, could maybe those be books that you could use as references to the fusion, and with Christ being the only person it's happened to thus far?
Yeah. So that's something that's very interesting, and I say that because I mean a lot of the justification almost for that shows up in the Pauline epistles, where Paul tends to elaborate on that.
Yeah.
But I think that when we look at Yeshua saying in the book of John is that, well, actually, let's go to John chapter 1, right? And again, that process is part of the sonship process, right? That he went through, right? And he makes reference to that in John chapter 1. So let me go ahead and grab that in John chapter 1, where I can show exactly where that's at. Let's go to John chapter 1, verse 12. Let me show it on my screen. Let me do. Okay. So John 1, verse 12 says, 11 says, he came to his own, and his own people did not receive him. Right? We got a footnote there saying it's implied in the Greek, right? To his own things, it says, that is to his own domain or his own people. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become the children of God, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor the will of man, but of God. And then it goes on to say, and the word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we've seen his glory, glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. So what it's saying here, that same process that we're talking about, where when he went through that ritual or that rite of passage, which was the mikvah, the baptism, right? And he received the Ruach or the Spirit, which imbued the word into him, right? Now it conformed him to commit to the task that was at hand. He was able to do so without any flaw, any error. However, there was a point of weakness right before his execution, right? However, he still yielded to the Spirit that was in him. So the purpose of that is showing us is that our gift is that we also get sealed with the same word, the same Spirit after we die. We get a portion of it now, enough to sustain us. So then after we die, it also fuses with us, because that's the thing that's going to be responsible for the resurrection, right? It's the Spirit that gives life, right? That's the thing that's going to be responsible for the resurrection. Now, there are a lot of different perspectives on that, because even at this time, if we just go to rabbinic sources, some rabbinic sources deal with the resurrection, right? However, if you go to some Targumic sources, right, they don't like to touch on the resurrection, because the Targum really focuses on the Chumash, or the first 5 books, but you don't really have a lot of references to a resurrection there, just a Sheol on a bowl of the dead or the grave that people go to after this life, right? One of the rewards of keeping and obeying the commandments is to have a long or extended life, right, and not to die prematurely. So it depends on what else you use to leverage this idea. Now, if you subscribe to the resurrection, then that will go back to what we see in Daniel chapter 12, because Daniel chapter 12 talks about a resurrection happening. Job also mentions a resurrection happening when he says that he will see his Redeemer in his flesh, right? So at some point after he dies, he's going to go and see his Redeemer, right? Even after he died, he says he's going to see his Redeemer. He knows his Redeemer liveth, and that he shall see him in the flesh. So we know that there was a subliminal hint there to a resurrection. It's not fully laid out. And then we see little instances of it throughout the text. And then it doesn't only really reveal itself through the Tehillim or the Psalms, where the psalmist will say, do not leave my soul in hell, right? Meaning that I want to reconcile back to you. There's some kind of inference to a resurrection. And then when we get to the book of Daniel, Daniel's also talking about those saints that we read in Daniel 7, that's going to be resurrected in Daniel 12, that's going to go inherit the kingdom. And Michael was going to be the prince intermediary over them, is going to assist with that process, right? So that Spirit is the thing that's going to give those who believe in the Most High life. And what the prophets came to do was to bring that same word, because the word was in them. Jeremiah said that his word is shut up in my bones. It's like fire shut up in the bone. The word was in him. The word moved him to perform the assignment that was given to him. And the word is the thing that's going to allow him to be resurrected, right? So Yeshua came to perform that. He came to promise that. His disciples, after making a blood covenant with him, they were also sealed to receive that same fate as him, that they will be redeemed from corruption of Sheol by means of the Spirit when the resurrection comes. And then you see Paul in his Christology, he starts to flesh it out a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? So there's various scriptures that talk about this, that allude to this, and there's external sources that also allude to this. But there's also those who disagree with it, right? I would just want to know, because I know you say you speak to Muslim brothers, and I do too, all the time. And I see some points of contention that they do have with a lot of these things as well. But even before you can have that discussion, they would have to authenticate anything that you put on the table first. Because if they don't, it's going to be difficult to kind of show them, you know, or give proper exegesis to them as to why you subscribe to that if they already dismiss it, right? So the Injil, for example, they believe that portions of it is in the Gospels that we have today, but that's not all of it, right? They believe a lot of the Injil was lost, and that when Muhammad, peace be upon him, came to bring the Quran, right? You had the Yeshua or Isa being mentioned in there, and he's talking about this gospel that was brought to the Jews. That's the Injil, what they recorded. But they said that anything outside of what's recorded in the Quran is lost, and that what we have in the New Testament synoptic gospels and the Gospel of John is just portions of it. It's not the full Injil, right? And even they disagree with elements of the book of John, where Christians allude to the deity of Christ and the second personhood of Christ, right? So again, it depends on who you talk to, right? The scripture says that the word itself, right, will be in us, that we will also speak his word, right?
Yes.
And we'll have the spirit in us, and it's a spirit that quickeneth, it's a spirit that maketh alive, and it's a spirit that's going to be the sealed for us through redemption. Now, some people will take it to the book of Revelation where it shows that, right? Those with the seal of God, right? That's the spirit. The spirit is the thing that seals us. And that's the thing that's going to be responsible for our resurrection. So if you want like a list of scriptures to kind of validate that, I can definitely mock something up for you and shoot it over to you, since I did see your email there. And you can use that. But if there's any other sharper point of contention that you have with an opponent of this, let me know. And if I have other resources, I'll just send it your way.
I'll definitely appreciate that. If there's anything else, because you know the discussion just builds and builds and builds. But if there is anything else, then I'll just send you another email, and then you can get to it whenever you can.
Okay, cool. That sounds good, my brother. That sounds good. Like I said, it's okay if you don't get a response to send me a follow-up email. All right, I'm okay with that. Or get in the chat and say, hey, Divine, don't forget me. Because like I said, we get tons of emails and inquiries, so it takes time to get through it. So I didn't forget about you. And now that you had just mentioned it, I'm gonna do my best to get to that, and I'll send you what I can, and hopefully sufficient. If not, if there's anything more particular that you need, just let me know, and I'll make sure I get it over to you. Okay.
Sure, my brother. Thank you. One last thing, if you don't mind, if you do have time.
Go ahead. Yes, sir. Go ahead. I'm here for y'all.
Just in regards to just the discussion you were having before with River. Sorry, was it River or Rivers? I don't want to,
River Lauderback.
River, yeah. And just in regards to the discussion, because you know, it seemed like there was a maybe like a focus to imply like the you know, Christ being a deity, you know.
Yes.
So
he is a binitarian, which
Mhm.
means he has the same premise as Trinitarians. The only thing is that he just doesn't see the Holy Spirit as a person. Like he sees the Son and the Father, right? He rejects that. He just sees it just as a force or essence, right? Extension of maybe the Father, but it's not a separate entity. And he was using John chapter 1 and verse 1 in order to substantiate that claim of binitarianism, right? And he also goes this on, if he was talking some more, would let you know that even in that verse, you don't see nothing about the Spirit there, right? And then he goes on, he's going to go on to define what he means by that. But yeah, that's what he's saying. It's two separate persons, and they all of the same homoousia. And then he's saying that the Son is distinct from the Father, and that there's some kind of what theologians call the economical Trinity. because you have the ontological Trinity. So the ontological Trinity is the relationship that the Father, Son, and Spirit had before existence, and the economic Trinity is a relationship the Trinity has with creation in regards to redemption and things of that nature. So he was alluding to this ontological Trinity, but in his case, binarity, whatever the case may be, where he's just showing that it's just the Son and the Father. They're two distinct entities, but they share the same essence, which is God, right? So that essence is called God, and out of that essence is one person, two persons, right? So they're two distinct entities, but they both call God because they're connected to the same essence. I mean, that's what binitarians teach.
So
that's his position.
Because I mean, the Bible references a lot of powers, a lot of gods. So
Correct.
in essence, you know, the angels, the messengers, and then now you have the ones above them in the hierarchy, and there's a lot of different powers. So Christ in his resurrection himself is his own power. So in that sense, like, you know, but obviously I can see the difference there is that instead of it being a power under the supreme power, it's a power completely on its own. Correct?
You said it's a power complete on its own. You talking about the word?
Yes. So like with what you were saying, I can't remember what term you just used, but with how now you have like the essence and then you have two entities coming from that. So,
that's what he teaches. Yes.
Yes. But with the way I see it in scripture, it's you have the supreme power, and then now you have all these you have these different powers now coming from the supreme being, the Most High.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you have so my position is you have a chief deity, right? Because it's a henotheistic structure, right? So you have a chief deity. It is a different type of henotheistic structure, which means the chief deity in Israelite thought is it's the entity that is the creator of everything, and his throne can never be vied for. You can never fight for it. Nobody else can ever get it. He's not going to concede it. Nobody can get his throne, right? So he will always eternally be in charge and control. There's subordinate entities that's part of a divine council that's underneath him, right? And then there's some inferences to this, well, not even explicit references to this in the Ugaritic text, which goes and elaborates on who some of these players are in the divine council. And even Yod-Hey is considered a son of El, right? And I go try to harmonize that in the lecture series you said that you saw. But out of El, right, Yah is his avatar that he uses to complete the covenant that he initiated as El Shaddai, right? He uses Yod-Hey Wav-Hey to complete that covenant or bring it about with Abraham. This is why he told Abraham, your forefathers didn't know me by Yod-Hey Wav-Hey. They knew me as El Shaddai, right? And that's kind of what I broke down in the lecture. So that avatar is like a extension of him, right? That's actually interfacing with creation. And you'll see scholars talk about this when they look at what they call the Elohist and the Yahwist. Elohist talks about El, but when El is interacting, he's like at a distance and he's not really interacting with his creation. But the Yahwist says Yod-Hey Wav-Hey, and he's showing interaction with his creator. I mean, with his creation, right? So where does the spirit play a role in this, right? So we see that when the Most High was there in the beginning, it says he created the heavens and the earth, and it says that the spirit of God, it said brooded over the waters. Now that spirit of God, that's in the genitive, that is something that's possessed by Yah. That's something that's part of him that he's using to get what he's saying done. That's his hands, for lack of better words, that's actually working and performing these things. When he speaks it, the hands do it. It gets it done. I could think about building a house, but it's not going to happen until I make my hands do it, right? So this is how he works and interacts with creation. And now I see somebody ask a question about what's the difference between the word that came upon the prophets and the word that went into Yeshua. So according to the New Testament, and I reference Hebrews chapter 1. I'll read it. I'll bring it on the screen and I'll read it real quick so that way I can give context from what I'm talking about. It says, long ago, at many times and in many ways, the Most High spoke to our fathers by way of the prophets. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed the heir of all things, through whom he also created the Ion, the age. But they have the word there that doesn't come from cosmos. It comes from Ion. right? It's two different words, but, you know, the translations, they add that word world there. And I think that's a bad translation, but that's just my opinion. So the word that he says that he spoke by our fathers, spoke through the fathers. How? Through that same word. That same word, which is that spirit, went into them, and he used them to speak his message with the word in him. Jeremiah also says that his word is like fire shut up in my bones, right? That he tried to resist from speaking, but he cannot help himself but to speak the word of the Most High. And by them having that word, they had the spirit or the essence on them that caused them to commit to the assignment that was given to them. Even when they tried to veer or stray, like even Yeshua says that I pray that you remove this cup from me, but it's not my will, but it's your will be done. All the prophets do that. That's a heavy burden to have the spirit on you and to be able to commit to a work where the flesh feels is unable to do, right? The difference is, and we see this even in the Pauline epistles, but in the book of John also says when the appointed time has come. So a particular time came where the Most High says, okay, let me reach back out to my people, give them this last testament, because, you know, you'll hear Muslims that say, no, it came by Muhammad. Muhammad is the actual last prophet of the Most High. However, the depiction of Isa in the text shows that he is greater than Muhammad. And I bring this out all the time for Muslims, and I show this to them. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, oh, but still. I'm like, well, if you say that the Injil was delegated to the Jews, and I'm telling you I identify as one of those Judeans, right? Then why do I need Muhammad's testament? What do I need that for? Like that, I don't know what I need that for, right? So I say that to say that spirit, which is the word, which at times manifests into this angel, this messenger that had Yah's word in him, right? That moved on the prophets. It went into them. It used them to do whatever he wanted to do at that time. And then another appointed time came that he says, okay, I'm going to raise up another individual. I'm going to put the word in him, have him commit to the assignment. And then I'm going to use him to validate the resurrection element that I had talked about in Daniel, that I spoke by going through Job, in the book of Job, that I referenced through Dawid in the Tehillim or the Psalms. Right, that he's going to come and perform this task, so that way those who covenant with him will continue to speak about this resurrection and inheriting the kingdom to come, so that way they'll be able to give their lives to this. So he is the representative of what occurs when we, the ones who covenant with him, right, we take a blood covenant to continue on his mission by way of the Most High. So that way, that when we die after committing ourselves unto death for this mission, that same spirit that sealed him, the word that was in him, can also do the same with us. Even Paul says that he's the firstborn of all creation. And he's the first fruits. The first fruits is not the only fruits. It's just a sample of what to anticipate to come, right? So this is the same thing with us, right? So like I said, what I can do is just outline for you verses that deal specifically with that. And I think I try to pull enough of them out in that part 4, but I'll sing them out to you so that way you can have it and you can see. So it's the same word. It's not no difference. It's not no separate, like the brother was trying to bring out, that the Logos is some separate entity outside of the spoken word that was utilized for creation. He's making them two separate things, right? And he says, well, I think grammar word would be a better substitute. I'm like, no, you are disconnecting the Hebrew Bible or the Tanakh from the Brit Hadashah. Like you can't do that. Like the purpose of Christian apologetics is to prove cohesiveness between the two books, right? Systematic theology teaches you how to do this. You can't prove certain arguments of theism without the Old Testament. You need the Old Testament. Like you can't just reject that, right? So
definitely. I mean, if you look at all the authors, they're all referencing the Old Testament. So you can't look at the New Testament without looking at the Old. You just can't do it. But yeah,
I mean, you could be Marcion and just cut it out and just ignore that it's there and just focus on whatever books you like in the New Testament. I mean, you could do that. Marcion did it, but he was called a heretic, obviously, but he did it. You know what I'm saying? So some people just don't want to go there because, again, it's the harmony between the two. Like I said, the word of the Most High is also the spirit of the Most High. They're one and the same, and it's also the messenger of the Most High. They're all the same thing, called different things at different times. And I showed scriptures, especially in Ezekiel, that shows that they are all one and the same, right? And I'll give you a good scripture from Ezekiel before I go that I mentioned in the lecture, that kind of like shows this unique relationship between all of these things, that, you know, the spirit was a man and had a hand and all this other stuff. Like, so if we go to Ezekiel chapter 8, well, let me bring it on the screen so we can see it. Ezekiel chapter 8. And it says, in the 6th year, in the 6th month, on the 5th day of the month, as I sat in my house with the elders of Judah sitting before me, the hand of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh Elohei-Ka, or Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh Elohim, fell upon me there. Wait, so the hand, what? Fell on him. So what is that hand? See, this is what I was talking to River about when I told him it's the hand. Oh, but check this out. It says, then I looked. So the hand came on him and turned him. He says, then I looked, and behold, a form that had the appearance of a man. Below what appeared to be his waist was fire. Above his waist was something like the appearance of brightness, like gleaming metal. Now check this out. He put out the form of a hand and took me up by a lock of my head, and the spirit lifted me up. Wait, hold on. So the hand of the Most High fell on him, which I'm saying is the spirit. It turned him and manifested into a man. And then it says, then he put out his hand and took a lock of hair, and then the spirit lifted him up. So now we got the hand of the Most High. We have some kind of manifestation of some kind of man that put a hand down and grabbed him by his hair, and it credited to the spirit lifted him up. They're all connected. The hand of the Most High, the manifestation as a messenger, grabbing his hand, and the credit going to the spirit lifted him up, which is the man that manifested. It's also the spirit, which is equated to the hand of the Most High that fell on him. They all one and the same. When you understand this is the way that it's manifesting itself to do different things. The spirit, the hand, and then the man. Because we also see a manifestation of other people. An example of that would be Manoah and his wife, right? The parents of Samson, right? Yeah. They had some kind of entity appeared to them, right? And then when the entity got taken up in the sacrifice, because it told them, make the sacrifice unto who? Unto Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. But he went up with the sacrifice. And they said, behold, we should have surely died because we have seen God. That's what they said. It manifested itself. The Most High, his hand turned into a man, was walking around doing things and stuff. All right, cool. Now I'm gonna take my hand back, and then I can take that same hand, and then I can put it in somebody. I can move things. That's his hand. His hand is the spirit that works in the earth. And when you look at the text holistically and not just in isolates, you're able to see these connections, right? And this is what I was trying to convey to our brother. You know what I'm saying? So now I also show connections where that spirit is the word of God, and the word of God has also manifested in the Tanakh as a man. The word manifested as a man. We can also see here where the hand of the Most High and the spirit is also manifested as a man and working on creation. And when you see it like that, then it's like, oh, I understand. So when it says that the word became flesh, right? It transitioned into flesh. And we see during the baptism, the spirit comes down into him. And then as at that point, he conducts his ministry. Ministry does not start until after the spirit goes on him. That's when the word fuge went. Before that, you don't see anything. Go to John chapter 1. There's nowhere about a virgin birth, nothing about a ministry until he goes to John to get baptized. And Mark chapter 1, he doesn't say any of his first words until after he's baptized by John. That's when the word is in. Because if the word was already in him, then he didn't need the spirit to come on him. For what? Why did he need the spirit to come on him? He should have just started his ministry. Why was he baptized? See, that's really important. Why was Yeshua baptized? Yeah. If baptism is solely for the remission of sins, then is he trying to get his sins removed so he can become the Son of God? What is baptism for? It's a rite of passage. And when you understand contemporary communities like the Qumran community, they break it down and they explain what it is. It's mikvah. It's a rite of passage.
Sorry, Divine. So do you feel like now with Christ being our intermediary between us and the Most High, do you think that baptism now is something that's integral for salvation?
So I think I had brought this out before in the past, and what I demonstrated was that those who are part of the Melchizedek order, who want to enter into the Melchizedek order, they go through that rite of passage. They get into that blood covenant with Yeshua, right? And they continue on the assignment of mission that the Most High gave him, that through his untimely death, because he said, you know, the people at that time, that they killed their prophets. Right. And this is why they becoming stiff-necked and hard-headed, because they don't listen to their prophets. Right. So after his death, his untimely demise, anybody that covenants with him now become part of that order of Melchizedek that we see in the book of Hebrews that it elaborates on. So it's those people that have that covenant and go into the order of Melchizedek that need to be baptized, because it's a rite of passage to enter into the order of Melchizedek. Now, there's going to be others that's outside of that are not going to get baptized. Right. And Paul, Romans 11, he says that all Israel will be saved. Yeshua said he came to bring salvation to the Jews, but they rejected him. Paul also talks about Romans chapter 2, that if a Gentile does a thing that's contained in the law, but he is not a Jew, will he not be accepted? That uncircumcised heart would not be considered, uncircumcised flesh would not be considered circumcision the same way that the Jews are circumcised, right? So we see a lot of elements in there in regards to what is the purpose of salvation for the Jews. Those who are being baptized are entering into that Melchizedek order. That's a rite of passage, a mikvah, and it's similar to the same thing that the priests did in the temple. They had to go through the labor, they had to wash themselves before they could enter into the temple and perform their duties. Well, those of the order of Melchizedek have to go through that same ritual process, because it's symbolic of the putting off of the filth, not the putting off the filth of the flesh, but a clear conscience towards the Most High, that Kepha says, so they can enter into this new assignment where they're doing order of Melchizedek type work in the earth. Right now, all the Jews or Israelites are not going to be part of that order. And will some of them enter the kingdom? So yes, but those who are getting into that order, they're going to have a more particular role when the kingdom comes, in regards to the return after the resurrection, after they die, and things along those lines. So there are benefits, right? But there's going to be some that do not enter into that rite of passage, right? And they will still have an opportunity, but it's going to be a little different, right? So that's what I brought out in the past in regards to the order of Melchizedek, and that the baptism is actually a ritual or rite of passage for those who are entering in to do those duties according to the order of Melchizedek. And when you go back and you study the Canaanite kings by way of the Ugaritic text and so forth, there were similar rites of passage that those priest kings did, right? Because Melchizedek is a representative of the priest kings during that time period in the Bronze Age, where the king in Canaan is also the high priest. Now, that order was separated after the demise of Ugarit, and now you had distinctions between the priesthood and the kinghood, right? Two different distinctions. However, the book of Zechariah says specifically that there's going to be one office between the two, right? The two going to come into one. And how is that possible? How can Judah become a priest when the Levites are designated to be priests? Well, when you see that David was adopted into the order of Melchizedek, and then the text goes in 1 Samuel that says, and his sons were Kohanim, or priests, you see that it was passed on into Judah. A priesthood was entered into and passed on through Judah. So that is how you're combining two offices. And while the Levitical priesthood lays dormant, the Melchizedek priesthood takes preeminence until the consummation of time, when now the Levitical order will be restored, because the Levites will be regathered. And then once that time period that people call the millennial reign, where the fulfillment of all the Tanakh prophecies are completed, then there would be no need for that type of priesthood anymore. In eternity, there's no need for it, right? Because we all will have that relationship. We all will be restored back to the Most High. So there's no need for that priesthood anymore. So this order of Melchizedek is that contingency plan. After the Levitical priesthood has been laid dormant, it's the contingency plan to get us all the way into the end time, when the Most High returns back with his representative and restores order, restores the law, restores the Levites, as it says in the book of Isaiah. And then now at that point, there's no need for the Melchizedek order anymore. Now it's because Melchizedek order is the regathering. That's the purpose of the Melchizedek order, regathering, right? Bringing Israel together, bringing them back into covenant with the Most High. And that was the assignment of Yeshua, to bring Israel together, to get the lost sheep. So once they wake up the lost sheep, Now, when that king comes back to reestablish himself, there's no need for the Melchizedek order. The Levitical order takes place again, where the Levites are raised back up. The law's gone out for X amount of time. And then after that consummation of time, when we enter into eternity, when final judgment occurs, then none of those priesthoods are needed anymore. There's no need for those priesthoods anymore, because Most High will be right in our presence. We'll be in his presence. We'll be able to eat from that tree of life, right? We'll be able to actually engage with him. There'll be no need for us to be separated from him anymore. And that's what the priesthood is there, to join God back with man. And when man and God is back together again, like they was in the garden, there's no need for a priesthood.
Yeah. So now with all, I think you mentioned there with the Ugaritic text. So I'm guessing they would outline like the rites of passage, like in order to be established into the order.
Correct.
So, like in our times, who's able to perform such an act, that being baptism?
So that's an excellent question. I would say it would be those who covenant with Yeshua, right? So it's really interesting because there are groups that are in. Go ahead.
Sorry, Divine. Could you do it?
Can I do what? Perform a baptism?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Will I? I mean, it depends on the situation. You know what I'm saying? But yes, because what I've done is I've started a reconstructive process into identifying what this order of Melchizedek is, right? And it's not something that I can just make up from my own interpretation of the text, but it has to be cohesive with anything that existed during that period of time. And this is why we lean on the Qumran community, because they've left some data behind. And this is why connections are made to John with that community. Because remember, I mentioned earlier, John the Baptist was a Levite, right? He was half Levi, half Judah, right? He should have been in the temple. Why was he not in the temple performing his duties like his father was doing, as it opens up in the book of Luke, chapter 1? Why did that happen? Why did he end up being a voice in the wilderness crying out? What was that about? You understand what I'm saying? In the same region that this community existed in, the Qumran community. And then Yeshua comes and submits himself to baptism by John, even though John was reluctant. Initiated him. It's an initiation process.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, when you go and read that book that I showed earlier, I think it'll give you more details on that. I'll bring it up on the screen again real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. But it goes into the connection between the New Testament and the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? So let me bring it up on my screen. And then I'm going to get to the other two guests because they waited patiently. I appreciate y'all for waiting. Let me show it to you on the screen real quick. Is this book right here? Right? So it's through studying several things, right? Understanding the ancient king priests of Canaan, quote unquote, because the king of Salem, Melchizedek was the king of Salem, right? Salem was an actual city that existed during the time of Abraham, and there was priest kings over that city, right? So you go back and study, okay, what is this priest king thing? And look at the culture and say, oh, because it says that Melchizedek was a priest of the Most High God, but he was also the king of Salem. So you look at the priest king situation and say, okay, well, those who subscribe to El, because there was priest kings that worshipped El was the patron deity. Some of them, when the Amorites came and took over, they veered off to Baal, to Yam, and to other deities. But El was supposed to be the principal deity that the king covenant with. The Amorites changed that to covenant with Baal. And this is what influenced the writing of the Epic of Baal and the Ugaritic tablets, right? So when you go back and reconstruct this and say, okay, I see how this thing looks and operates. Okay, well, let me put that in a vacuum and let me hold that there. And let me take this and look over time to see if it measures up with anything else. Like, okay, I don't really see nothing else. And then, oh, Dead Sea Scrolls. Whoa, wait a second. Let's flesh this out. Okay, let's see. Oh, man, they got some of the same traditions. Oh, what? Okay, this is lining up. Okay, this lining up. All right, okay, let's unpack this New Testament now with this data. Oh, man, they referring to the same things that they talk about in Qumran and that they were doing in ancient times. What the heck is going on? And then you take all of this data and you try to find ways to harmonize it to kind of reconstruct what this looks like and how we can implement it today, right? So I think I did a lecture where I started to bring that out. It's called Capital Punishment. I don't know if you've seen that before. Human sacrifice for the atonement of sin in the Bible. And in there, in the latter part of it, I go into detail about that Melchizedek order, about the mikvah, the washing, the rite of passage, you know, how the Ruach plays a role. And in this book here, the Dead Sea Scrolls and Christian Origins, and this one here, Eschatology, Messianism, and the Dead Sea Scrolls, they help to further those arguments, right? And there's tons of other resources out there as well. And it's a reconstructive process. So yes, I identify as being part of the Melchizedek order. And there's certain rites and passages that we are to undertake. Some of them I have done, some of them I have not done yet, but the ones that I haven't done are kind of marginal, right? It's not going to nullify me from actually being part of that order. But the main objective of it in this day and time, even if you look in the Qumran community, is to reach out to the elect. When Yeshua was talking about the elect, he's going to gather the elect and all. The same thing was being said in Qumran. But the only difference is they believe the elect was just those people that were there. John is the one that brought it out to all of Israel to say, okay, now anybody wants to come to the Most High who's Israel. He took what they were doing there and he opened it up. So that was something that was very interesting. So we see a modification of what was done at Qumran through what was being taught in what we call the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament, right? So it's a lot to unpack, and I know I'm just throwing a lot out there. But in my lectures that I've done, it's more sequenced and it's more coherent because I go through it piece by piece and I show reference by reference, and then I do exegete by exegete, and I walk through it, and you can see it in more detail in those lectures. Okay. So anybody in the chat, any of my mods, if you can, please drop that link to that lecture, Capital Punishment, Human Sacrifice for the Atonement of Sin in the Bible, in the chat, so that way John and others can check it out and see what I'm talking about.
No problem. Definitely check that out. And I also review the one you did on El Shaddai, Three of a Kind. Definitely.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, my brother.
Thank you so much, my brother.
All right, King. Have a blessed evening.
You too.
All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
All right. Thank you, my brother John. So next is my brother, the Village Faction. You have the floor, my brother. You can say whatever you want to say.
Yes, sir. Shalom, shalom. How you doing?
I'm doing good, King. No problem, man. Good to see you again. Looking healthy and strong, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, deliver what you got to deliver for the people, man. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
All praise. I don't want no smoke. I ain't coming to contend. I came to build.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got the floor, King. Go ahead. It's all yours.
Yeah, I just had a word of encouragement, man. You know, we from a famous land. Our history book is all throughout the world, you know, and the Most High through us is the key to the liberation of our people, you know, and anybody else that would cleave to Israel. So I'm just grateful to be able to build with y'all. I'm grateful that you have provided this platform for us to be able to, you know, just glean and learn from what it is that the Most High is giving you, and for us to sharpen each other as well. But how long do I got? Because I had a couple of precepts that I wanted to visit.
My bad. Okay. I'm muted. I'm muted. Go ahead. Bring it out. Go ahead. You good?
Yeah. Okay. Let's start here at Tehillim 119 verse 11, or Psalms 119 verse 11, because I wanted to compare a word or a couple different words, either in Hebrew and Greek, and they have similar definitions as it relates to some of what you all were talking about earlier, as far as the word or the logos. Psalms 119 verse 11. And it says, your word I have hidden in my heart that I might not sin against you. That word in Hebrew, you know, basically speaks to like a speech or utterance or a command, right? And then when it says, in the beginning was God, the word was with God, and the word was God, that word logos also has a similar definition, speaking to a word, statement, or speech. And even my next precept I wanted to visit was Jeremiah 23, verse 28. And it says, the prophet who has a dream, let him tell a dream. But he who has my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is the chaff to the wheat, says Yahuwah? Is not my word like a fire, says Yahuwah, and like a hammer that breaks the rock into pieces? Where it says, let him who has my word speak my word. That word in Hebrew is dabar, and it means speech, word, and or divine communication from the Most High given to help us.
Now let me interject 1 second, my brother. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Yeah.
and what the brother's saying is good, because what I want people to also see is that if you go into the Septuagint for Psalm 119 and verse 11, look up the word there for the word word. It's the word logia. That's what it is. He said a better word would be rhema, right? But no, if you go back to the Septuagint to see when that word there is there for word, what is it translated to? It's logia, and that is cognate with logos. But go ahead, King. You got it. Keep going. You on fire right now.
I'll praise. My next precept is John 14 or Yakanan 14. In terms of how that word in Jeremiah spoke to a divine command or communication from the Most High given to help us, right? In John 14, the Mashiach said to his disciples, "If you love me, keep my commandments, and I will pray the Father, and he will give you another helper, that he may abide with you forever, the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him or knows him. But you know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. I will not leave you orphans. I will come to you." Speaking to that word, you know, that comes from the Ruach, the Ruach even being with the disciples in their experience with Yahushua. Speaking to the help that we get from the Ruach to obey his commands. See, one thing that the Most High has pressed upon my heart is how much we need him to really live this life, how much we really need him to be who he's called us to be. You know, and in that, my next precept, Revelation 19, verse 10. Because our power lives and he speaks in that regard. You know, as far as the power of Israel being different from most powers, in light of how much he communes, how much he interacts with us. And if and when the Most High is revealing himself to his people, that means that our salvation is near. That means that our liberation is near. And the fact that we're waking up right now is not no coincidence. The fact that we're remembering who it is that we come from, the fact that we're remembering our power is no small thing in this day. Revelation 19, verse 10, where it says, "And I fell at his feet to worship him. But he said to me, see that you do not do that, for I'm your fellow servant and of your brethren who have the testimony of Yahushua. Worship Yahuwah, for the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy." Speaking to that testimony of Yahushua coming to give us that Ruach to help us manifest what it means to be the sons of Yah on the earth, family. This is a beautiful day and time. Our people contend with each other too much to be the Most High, to operate in what it means to be his people. That's why I'm so grateful for your platform and even how you interact with people. You know, you're not trying to stun on people, or you're not trying to shine on people or anything of that nature, bro. You out here trying to build with your people. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I felt the need to come on this platform, bro, and just encourage you and even encourage our family, to encourage our brethren. We need to stop contending with each other and worship the Most High for what it is that Yahushua achieved for us, giving us that Ruach, the help that we need from the Most High. See, the earth is groaning for the sons of Yah to manifest. Now, next, I got two more precepts and I'm going to get off of here.
No, go ahead. You good, man. Go ahead. You got it.
All praises, all praises. Yeshayahu 63 or Isaiah 63. In terms of you know, some of which you were bringing out, you know, which is an absolute fact as it relates to the Most High's arm. Isaiah 63, verse 5. And I looked, but there was no one to help. And I wondered that there was no one to uphold. Therefore, my own arm brought salvation for me. My own fury, it sustained me. See, his own arm bringing about salvation. In terms, I want to tie this to this last precept. As far as his own arm bringing salvation, exactly how you were saying, speaking of when the Most High intervenes, when the Most High makes it plain that it's him doing this work through his people. That's the game changer, when his own arm brings about salvation. In Matthew chapter 1, or Matthew chapter 1, verse 21, in light of a precept for the Most High's arm bringing about salvation. Matthew 1, verse 21. Or matter of fact, I'll do verse 20 and 21. But while he thought about these things, behold, a messenger of Yahuwah appeared to him in a dream, saying, Yosef, son of David, don't be afraid to take Miriam, your wife, for that which she has conceived in her is of the Ruach Kodesh, and she will bring forth a son. And you shall call his name Yahushua, for he will save his people from their sins. See, his own arm, when he intervened and he spoke to Joseph and let it be known that that revelation of who was going to be coming forth through him and Miriam was going to be saving his people from their circumstances and situations, saving them from their transgressions. That's a precept on how the Most High's arm intervened. He brought forth revelation of who Yahushua was going to be. See, without the Ruach, at best, what we doing is, in essence, acting on good intentions. But we got to return to the Ruach, because that's contending with each other, ain't it? Because if the Ruach is in us, that Ruach is helping us. That Ruach is helping us be vessels of the Most High, liberating our people. In that, the Most High does this work in us in a revelatory way. His own bringing salvation for his people. And the beautiful thing about it, this has nothing to do with us. Praise be to the Most High. That's why the book tells us to be humble. Our people ain't humble enough in terms of how we contend with each other the way we do. The book tells us to humble ourselves before the mighty hand of Yah. This is when the Most High is going to intervene and liberate us from our condition. So in that, family, let us humble ourselves and watch what the Most High do. Watch what the Most High does through us. And that's all I got. I love y'all, family. And I appreciate you out, you know, for what you've been putting in.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for that words of encouragement, for coming behind and verifying the things that were brought out. I truly appreciate that. I mean, me and you have been building for some time. And I guess once you saw that I had the spirit of unity and wanted to build my brothers, you was like, okay, I can get on board with that. You know, and we have a similar spirit, man. You good peoples, man. I truly appreciate it. Tell the people how they can reach out to you, my brother.
Yes, sir. I'm on the Village Faction on YouTube. On Facebook, it's Kendrick Messenger. Twitter is Kendrick Messenger. I believe it's underscore Kendrick underscore Messenger. And the same thing on Instagram, Kendrick Messenger.
Awesome.
Shalom, family. Appreciate you.
So go ahead and follow my brother, man. Keep him in prayer. Support him as well, because he's putting the work in for the community as well. And me and him, we got big things in store, man. Hopefully one day, y'all willing, I'll be able to have the honor of meeting this brother and we can build. All right, King. So get some rest, my brother. Thank you for pouring out tonight. We all appreciate that. We're going to continue to keep in our prayers and support. All right.
All praises.
All praises, King. Shalom. Shalom, shalom. All right, awesome. All right, let me bring on my last guest. And then I'm going to close out with my brother, Stanford Montgomery. The floor is yours, King.
Blessings and praises. It's an honor, man, and a pleasure for me to be able to communicate with you tonight, Brother Divine. I've seen you on many different platforms. And I'm just delighted to have this opportunity to speak with you, man. I go by the word apostle.
Oh, that's you. Cool. What's going on, King?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Our stories are somewhat similar, but I spent 42 years in the church before leaving. I started preaching when I was 22 years old. I'm 65 now.
Wow, you 65?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. God's been good.
All praise to the Most High, man.
If I was to get up and walk, you would say, "Oh yeah, that brother's 65."
I got you, King. Go ahead, you got it.
Yeah, I got a few ailments, man, that reminds me every day of how old I am, in spite of the way I look. But I'm thankful for that, man. I'm thankful for everything that Yah has given me. The reason why I'm calling tonight is to speak about our language, because I believe our language goes hand in hand with our awakening, us coming back to our original language. I think you and Zion Lex are probably the most two scholar type brothers that seem to really know what y'all speaking about. And I don't want to say but I am wondering why it seems that y'all do lean towards the Aramaic or Second Temple language or Nukud more so than the Abiyath, the original language. Using words like Vav, E-words, Yeshua, when you know those words are really foreign to us. I believe, frankly, as we started, we were very close to our words. And as we progressed, as we moved away from our words, we moved away from our center. We moved away from Yah. Therefore, we started calling him words like El, words that don't fit with our language early on. You understand what I'm saying? When I look at the Paleo, there are no E words, V words, O words. These words don't exist. And I know these words came about during Second Temple, Aramaic, Greek, Hebrew mix. And it just got worse once that German dialect got mixed in. And we come up to the Masoretic. And now today, half of them speaking, I guess, Masoretic, but most speaking Yiddish. It's my contention that our God is not going to, he's not going to come speaking to us in these foreign languages. So I don't know if we do it to be accepted, because every time we speak the Abarth, Phoenician, Hebrew, we get remarks like, "Oh, that's not a real language." So is that the reason why we tend to say Yahweh, Yahweh, instead of just Yahweh, using the only letter that we can use, the A, instead of putting E's, as in Elion and all these Canaanite words that we allow to get mixed up in our language? Help me out. Show me a reason why I should seek to learn this language when I have an alternative, pure, especially when you're talking about Psalms 119, which is the Alapatha Psalms 119 contains our alphabet. It's the whole alphabet from the first word to the last, alapatha. Even the Mashiach said on the cross, on the thigh, it's finished. Why we have need to use other words? Help me understand. Because when I hear my family using words like Avraham or Ivrit, it just hurts. It really hurts me. And I'm trying to find understanding because I know you know the Paleo Hebrew, right?
Yeah. I was going to let you finish speaking, Elder, and then I'm gonna come.
We can have a dialogue. That's what I want. Maybe I'm talking too much. Just pause right now.
No, you good. You good. You laid out your premise very clear. You made your point, and the onus is on me now to respond, which I have no problem with doing. So there's various ways to address what you're saying and do so that is in harmony with the essence of what you're trying to convey and what I'm doing, right? I can't speak for my brother Zion Lexus. He's not here. So I'll just speak for myself, right? So the first thing I would say is let's look at the Ibarath, right, that you have mentioned earlier, right? The question I have is in regards to understanding grammar when it comes to using that language, which becomes extremely difficult. And I'll give you a couple examples in a second, right? The first question I have is when we look at the ayin, right, that we attribute an I class vowel to, where did that understanding come from? How come that doesn't have an A class vowel like the aleph does?
What you talking about, the ayin?
Correct.
Yeah, because it starts with an A, with an A, but it's pronounced with an I. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah. So like when you said Ibarath, which has to do with Hebrew, or when you say Yahawashai, right? That ayin has the I class vowel, but everything else in between is the A class vowel, right? So why do we attribute an I class vowel to a consonant when all the consonants should be an actual consonant itself that should be followed by a vowel, right? Why is there I class vowel for ayin? Why do we render that as ayin? The reason why I'm bringing this out is because you'll start to see what I want to express to you, right? And then we can work from there. So if you can definitely give me some understanding behind that.
Right. I get that with Yahawashai opposed to like the brother who said Yahusha.
Correct.
More, it's a sha, but it's more of a sound than the I sound. Right.
So the I
with that.
Yeah.
Also.
So the I class vowel, it poses a lot of issues because it's difficult to distinguish if it's a vowel or if it's an actual consonant, right? And you know, some people get into the actual consonant selves having meaning, which I subscribe to. I mean, obviously they're names for the letters, as opposed to the English language. We don't have any names for the letters. And then that may affect some of the grammar. I give you an example of what I mean by that, right? So if I was, okay, I'll give you a great example, right? What's Moses' name in Ibarah?
I struggle with that because I use the word Masha.
Yeah, so there you go.
Moshe.
That's his name, right? Masha.
Right.
Now,
Masha.
if I wanted to say to draw out, what word would I use to say that? Like in Hebrew, if I wanted to use the word to draw out something, right? Because that's what Moses' name comes from. So how would I distinguish the verb from the noun if I were just reading in Ibarah? How would I be able to identify that just by listening?
Well, that's why I use the word Masha instead of Moshe.
Yeah. So forget Moshe. I'm talking about the verb and the noun. Correct.
Right. The ma and the sha both is dealing with the ma is dealing with the blood, the water, that he's being drawn from, and the Shah is somewhat of being delivered from destruction.
Yeah, like the sheen, right? Meaning to bite down,
Right,
to crush, to
right.
consume.
To bite down the teeth. So
Correct.
he's being delivered from that structure. That's why he is a type of Mashiach, because he's a type of deliverer.
Correct.
Because his name Mashiach.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I struggle with the same with David, because I heard you say Dawid.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing, because for me it would be Dawood. The Dalit, the Wa, Dalit.
You said Dawood instead of Dawad. It would be Dawood.
Yeah, the Wa, Da.
Yeah, so Dawood. So where's the oo sound
Dawood.
coming from? Where's the oo sound coming from?
The same way you get Yahuwah or Yahusha. That substitution, sometimes the W can take, that Wa can take on a oo sound.
Oh, so you're saying the Wa is creating the consonant and the vowel?
In certain instances, it will.
Okay. What's the rule for that?
When you have like the Y is still there with the Dalit or the Dalaf.
Correct.
The Y, Dalaf.
Mm-hmm.
You put the I in between, so it's Dawad or Dawood.
Yes. So now I'm good with Dawood, right? Some people say Dawood. I'm good with Dawood. I just wanted to know, and I think you kind of explained. You said in some instances the Wa can also be a consonant and a vowel.
Right. It goes a W sound.
Okay, like a W sound.
It go woo, woo. As in the word Yahusha or Yahuwah.
Okay. So is there another instance where the Wav can also do that in another word? Because the reason why I'm saying is because I'm trying to, the issue that I have with that is being able to establish certain rules or principles that makes the language coherent and intelligible, right? So like if I wanted to say, because I was saying how we determine the difference between Masha to draw out and Masha being Moses, how do we, if somebody's just saying it, how would I be able to distinguish the verb from the noun?
Yeah, I tell you what's been helping me. It's not my material.
Mm-hmm.
So this material is Dr. Usapa, El Usapa material.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to show it.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you want to purchase it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to get a connection between Dr. Usapa and Sonetta for long. He wants to teach on Sonetta.
Mm-hmm. He can come on this platform. He's welcome to come on here and build with us too. And I know Sonetta. I know Sonetta. I can pick up the phone and call Sonetta.
Yeah, I would definitely let him know and forward you his information.
Yes, sir.
In this book, it has a breakdown of pronunciations of all three, the late, the middle, as well as the characters. And in the back, it has pronunciations, punctuations, and everything in the back, consonants, how we are to use our language today, which has been helping me a great deal.
Yeah. So what I'll say to that is that's interesting. That book, I never seen that book before. However, a lot of the material contained in it I found in other sources. Right. Okay. So an example of that would be like Jeff Benner's work. Have you heard of Jeff Benner before?
I got 2 of his books.
Yeah. So that's kind of similar along the lines of what we read there. The only difference would be, like you said, the pronunciation. So you'll hear us say something in what's called the Tiberian vocalization. That's the name of that preserved, I would say, pronunciation of the biblical Hebrew. Right now, that just comes from the Masoretes. Right, we can't antiquate that. I can't say, well, that's what they were speaking during the time of Moshe. I can't say that, right? It's just one of many dialects, right? There's other dialects as well that's used in other areas when it comes to Hebrew, right? Another example of that would be the Yemenite dialect, right? Which differs from that that vocalization in the Tiberian, but then it's also the Babylonian vocalization as well. So there's different ways to vocalize, right? I think the most important thing is making it intelligible, where we can actually use that and discern different parts of grammar so we can make it a complete sentence, right? So I'm gonna see if I can try to give you an example. One thing that I believe is lost when we don't have a diacritic system to kind of indicate things is verbal stems, right? So in the biblical Hebrew, the way it's laid out, there's 7 major verbal stems, and verbal stems just means the way the action occurs, right? So you have the cow stem, which is a simple action. So masha will be an example of a simple action, right? To draw, right? I took something out, right? Then the nephal stem is the passive voice where the action is being done to the subject, right? And that's the nephal stem. And then you have the hethal stem, which is the causative. That means the subject didn't actually directly do the action, but he caused it to happen, right? And we see that a lot with the Most High says he caused things to occur. Like he caused Israel to be carried into captivity, right? And then you have other issues. Now, let me give you one good example of what I mean by that. Deuteronomy 28:68, right? We as Israelites, we use that all the time, right? If you look at it from the biblical Hebrew perspective, right? Not the ancient, right? Because I can tell you now, I don't know anybody that knows the ancient. We can propose what that is, but nobody knows that 100%, right? We try to do our research to get as close to it as possible. But when you look at Deuteronomy 28:68, you have Heath Makartim, which is the word that's used there where it says, and there you shall be sold to your enemies, right? Well, if I read that in Ibaryath, right? If I read it in Ibaryath, it would remove the Heath prefix to the actual verb. So when you have that Heath there, the hey tav, that is an indicator for how to interpret that verb that follows after it, which is makar, which is the root word meaning to sell. And then you have a suffix tem, which indicates who's doing that selling, right? So we find out what kind of verb it is and the pronoun, the suffix pronoun for who's doing it, right? So in the biblical Hebrew, that verbal stem is what's called the Heath Pael stem. And what that simply means is that it's a reflective, active voice. So it's not me physically doing something, right? It's me doing something in reflection. So if we was to interpret that with the reflective, it would be, and there you shall be sold. That's what we read from the King James. It in the biblical Hebrew with the Tiberian vocalization, with the diacritic marks that preserve the verbal stem, it says, and there you shall offer yourselves. There you shall offer yourselves for sale. Not there you shall be sold, but you will offer. Offer is reflective. So you're not physically saying, okay, I'm gonna put myself on this and I'm gonna sell myself, but I'm gonna offer myself for sale to a buyer, but nobody's gonna want to do that. Nobody's gonna want to redeem me, get me out of it, but I'm offering it. I'm putting it up for offer. So you lose that type of context because it's very difficult to explain in Ibaryath why that Heath, or what you say ha and ta. Why is ha and ta prefixed to that verb, which is mem, kaf, resh? Why is it prefixed to that? What does that mean? Why is it there? Right. And the thing about the biblical Hebrew that's preserved through the Tiberian vocalization with the diacritic marks and all of that is that it's an attempt not only to preserve the vocalization that the Masoretes had borrowed, wherever they got it from, but it's also to help with a reader understanding the grammar, right? It helps with the grammar, right? The shewa, which is the 2 little colon underneath a word, it has a meaning. It helps with vocalization as well, right? So the thing that I would have to speak to somebody about, and again, I'm not dismissing it. I'm just saying I have questions that I just need somebody to answer so we can kind of meet on common ground and I can better absorb into what's being said. Because I'm gonna tell you like this: when I came into this truth, I had the same position. I said, Joe, why is people using Bob and why are they using the E sound and all in the O sound? Like, where's this coming from? But there are things in language called diphthongs. And a diphthong is when there's 2 vowels that are added together and it creates one vowel or one sound, right? We have that a lot of times in English as well, right? Like read, right? You have EI. Somebody's last name could be REID. That EI is what's called a diphthong, because when you put them both together, it creates a singular vowel, right? So diphthongs exist when you speak because it helps the flow of the language. A lot of that is missing in Ibrahim, right? We don't that type of stuff is missing. However, we do see it in sister languages that are also Semitic. So the question is, okay, if Hebrew is distinct, that's fine, no problem. The issue is the preservation of that methodology. Like I said, the ayin, why does that have an I? Why is that not a consonant and an I? Even I'll give you another example. In Jeff Benner's work, you have his book there. You said you have one of his books.
Yeah.
He also goes into that.
I his book. Hold on, because I had it in front of me.
And the reason why I was asking about that, Elder, is because there's another consonant that he says has been lost in the Hebrew that shows up in the Greek and also shows up in Arabic, right? That we no longer have in Hebrew, which is the GH sound. You know what I'm saying? So, so the reason why I'm saying this is again, I'm not contending with what you're saying, because when I came into the truth, I was using what's called the matres lecciones. Do you know what the matres lecciones is?
No, I don't know that.
It's similar to the wa that you said, and it's when a consonant doubles as a vowel, right? So an example of that is that if we look at the writing of Moshe, it should be.
Wait, I'm looking for the book. I'm listening.
Yeah, it should be mem wav sheen. But if you look at how it's written in certain forms in certain manuscripts, the wav is not there anymore, and you have a cholam, which gives you the o sound. And that's called defective writing. That's when you remove the matres lecciones, where that wav doubles as a o or u sound, and it's removed, and you just add a little marker, and that's a shortened form of the name. There you go. Excellent.
Yeah. Excellent. And I also have the smaller one.
Yes, sir.
The which come going down front.
Correct.
I'm just can't find it right now.
No, it's no problem. So in that book, he goes over the gayin, the ga sound, the GH sound, which is missing from the Hebrew, that he says was lost over time, but it's preserved in other languages that the Hebrew was translated into. And one example he makes is the Greek, right? And he also about the Arabic as well. So I'm not here to say that you're wrong, Elder. I'm here to build, right? I see you as my elder. You've been in this walk, however you want to call the walk of faith, for years, older than me. You know what I'm saying? So I have to hearken my ear to what you're saying. Consider the things that you're saying, because they're serious, right? It's very important. I believe that we should restore that language, and I'm on the quest to get that done. So I'm open to suggestions. Anybody that has worked out the kinks or nuances in Ibar Yath, I'm willing to speak and have a dialogue and learn some stuff, because it's a building process, right? And if an elder of mine says, listen, you know, my brother, I love the work you do, but this is a point of contention that I have, and you open up the dialogue respectfully, which I appreciate more than you know, this is how we can build with our elders, right? Because we have to automatically provide that degree of respect and honor to the elder. And in exchange for that, the elder knows how to handle the youth, not talk over you, not boss you, not intimidate you, but be able to come to a point where they want to build a bridge so we can walk together, right? So please tell him he's welcome on this platform. I can give him an opportunity to build. I could be the screening. And then from there, I can just call Sonetta. Hey, I got somebody for you that I think is bad. You need to highlight this brother. And I'll bridge that gap and get him in touch with Sonetta. And Sonetta, he owes me favors. You know what I'm saying? So if I tell him, yo, put the brother on, he'll put the brother on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem. And I really appreciate you allowing me, you know, this time to voice, you know, my own struggle with what I'm struggling with as far as this journey that y'all has me on today. Like, I got nothing but respect for your scholarship, man, and your ministry and what you're doing. Not only just today, but what you did in Atlanta during the early lockdown and the George Floyd thing, man, how you really put yourself out there on the line like that, man. So
Yeah, it's all praise to the Most High.
Yeah, thanks for receiving my call, giving me this opportunity. I look forward to building with you, and I will get in touch with Dr. Usapa. And you're probably familiar with some of his works. Zion Law School. He's on YouTube. Yeah. Zion Law School.
Oh, okay.
He was We Got Next, but so many people started using that platform that he keep his work separate from the other people using We Got Next. He stopped using that, and now he's just strictly Zion Law School.
Cool.
Dr. Usapa.
Okay.
YouTube.
So you know what, King? Do me a favor, Elder. On the screen. Yeah, on the screen, you'll see my contact number. Call me on Monday. You see it? I'll give it. I'll say it to you. Call me on Monday. You're going to speak with my team. They're going to schedule a call based on your schedule and get him on the line so we all can have a conference call. We can talk. We can build. Then I'll schedule a date. We could come on this platform and finish the build. And then he can go to Sonetta and bring forth his information. Does that work for you?
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'm just waiting for your number to come back up, and I'm going to write it down.
I'll give it to you. It's 678.
Okay.
430.
All right.
3832.
Okay.
All right. Call me on Monday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What city are you located in, Elder?
I'm in Bluffton, South Carolina. Now he is in Vietnam. So
oh wow.
I got to figure that out.
That's okay. Just let me know. I'm open to whatever. I'll make an exception. Whatever date and time you're available, just let me know. Get us on a conference call or a Zoom session or whatever. Let's talk. Let's build. Schedule a date to come on this platform, and then from there, I'll graduate y'all to Sonetta. Okay.
Okay, man. Appreciate it.
Anytime, King.
Thanks.
Shalom,
right,
Elder.
brother.
And again, anytime you need me, just reach out. Okay.
All right. Peace, brother.
Shalom. All right. Cool. Man, I love it when my elders come on here, man. I love it when the elders come over here because, you know, the ones that come over here, man, they're extremely respectful. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I look for in an elder. I provide a degree of respect and honor. Scripture says to rise to the hoary head to all my elders, even elders that come on here that be talking wild and crazy. You know what I'm saying? I try to extend my hand out and respect to those elders. You understand what I'm saying? And willing to receive and hear what they said. You know, I'm not out just to argue with people, debate. Like that's not what I do. You know what I'm saying? I normally bait the trolls, you know what I'm saying, and work them. But we have a lot of authentic and sincere people in our community that really want to build bridges, you know what I'm saying? And I respect that, Elder. And I thank him so much for following my work and for co-signing it, which helps me to know that Yah has me on the right path. So I appreciate the Most High for that. And I love connecting with my elders. Shout out to Pastor Kelly Richardson in the building. That's another elder out there. Shalom. So like I tell people all the time, you know, it's okay to say, let me consider that. It's okay to say, let me look into that. It's okay to say, man, you know, that's great. Let's kind of build. You don't have to argue and fight all the time. You know, only a person who does not want to be wrong is the person whose heart is filled with hubris or who builds an island unto himself. That's a DivineProspect quotable. You know what I'm saying? So if you're on an island, it's very difficult for you to get assistance because you have separated yourself from everybody else simply because you have a point to prove. You have a chip on your shoulder that is encouraging you to always have to prove your point instead of hearing other people out first and being a student first. The best teachers are always students. Those are the best teachers. Those who are willing to be humble and listen, to say, look, I'm open for correction. You know what I'm saying? You know, I don't mind modifying what I'm teaching. I don't mind reconsidering. That's how it works. This is where diplomacy and tact comes in. Remember, I told y'all before, every hand that's coming towards you is not there to hit you or to strike you. Some of it is there to feed you. Some of it is there to help you up out of a miry situation. You have to take time, be slow to anger, slow to wrath, quick to hear. And in understanding these things, you will build more bridges than walls. And you never know where that bridge may take you. right? And it's very important that we put this at the forefront of who we are. Is when people see us, they see that we are selfless towards one another. We could be roaring like a lion to our enemies, but when they see the brotherly love amongst us, let them envy it. Let people see the respect that we have for each other, and let the other nations, the outsiders, envy what we are building with each other. That is the only way we could be in a position of power. The Most High says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. No, that's not New Testament. That's Torah. That's in Vayikra, Leviticus. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love the stranger among you as if he's a native. That's Torah. Well, if you hate yourself, of course you're going to hate others. And when I see brothers who hate others, I say, man, that person must be upset with themselves. They must hate something about themselves, their life. There must be some kind of form of bitterness, regret. And that's what I speak to. I don't speak to the outward actions. Okay, we know sometimes it's rough and it's rugged and it's raw, but there's a soul there that's imprisoned. Are we trying to provide the key? Or are we trying to throw a cloak over it, ignore it? I'm looking to provide that key. I want to release my brothers and sisters from anything that's keeping them captive so they can live the liberty that's in this culture. And that we can cause the other nations to desire what it is the Most High has only entrusted Yisrael with. Can we do that as a family? Can we get that popping? Can that be the next thing you think about when you wake up in the morning after you give your all to Yah? To say, Yah, teach me how to love my brother and my sister in a stronger way today than I did yesterday. That's why when Yeshua says that the whole law hinges upon two things. Love the Most High with all your heart, body, and soul. Well, dang, if I gave the Most High everything, how can I do the second commandment? Well, when you give him everything, you empty himself so he can love your neighbor through you. That's how that works. All right, cool. All right, that's enough from my soapbox. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Thank you guys for rocking with me on 2 sessions on today. You got a 2-for-1 sale for today. All praise to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Yes, that was a word from my brother Village Faction. Shout out to my brother Village Faction. Make sure you guys go and subscribe to him there. Make sure you guys subscribe to GAA-ORL. That's Great Awakening Assembly-Orlando. Go and subscribe to that YouTube channel. Support my brother Vaughn Parker in the building and Dr. Kenneth Howard. They're doing big things. My brother Chris, the Most High Child Shayarala in the building. What's going on? My sister Nisi's PC's holding it down for the chat. And everybody that's out there, shout out to my brother John that's in the building who came on the platform all the way from Australia. All praise to the Most High, man. This information is going out everywhere. And this is why they're going to do everything they can to try and silence, discredit, and just overlook me and those that's cut from the same cloth. Because the way we move becomes dangerous to them. Because they can't stereotype it, right? They can't throw mud on it. It's problematic. And it's this type of approach that is harmful to the Christian sleep folk, to the conscious sleep folk. It's when we move and operate like that, because everybody's not going to read the text, but they can read you. And this is why a lot of times, from time to time, I speak to or hang around my street family, you know, when I used to be in the street, because they also keep me grounded, because they know how to read me. They go, Divine, man, A, B, and C, blah, blah, blah. Cool, I appreciate that. Sometimes you got to be around people that's outside of this to see you, because other people will be your yes, man, yes, man, yes, man. You got to come around some real people that say, yo, that's foul, man. Like, okay, I didn't even realize that. You feel it keeps you humble, right? It keeps you humble. And that's what the Most High raises up. Pride becomes before the fall. So thank you for watching, family. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you get some rest. I'm going to end off early tonight. We hit the 2-hour mark. Y'all rock with me. I love y'all. Thank you for everybody who joined the Patreon, who's donated, who shared this video, who threw up a prayer and appeal to the Most High for me, kept me in your meditation, reached out to me, provided me with resources. You know, anybody that I can help, please call us. The number is there. The email is there. We can help you. I know a lot of brothers and sisters have a lot of issues, problems, things going on. We're going to try to help as many people as we can. If we can't help you, we'll connect you with somebody or something that can provide assistance. But at the end of the day, let's work towards autonomy, which is being self-governing so we can become truly set apart. Let's show that strength in numbers through unity. Even if we disagree on small doctrinal things, we know that if we come together under the fact that we're under the umbrella of Yah and He has chosen people and we are to be the light unto the nations, even with those simplistic things, we can show strength in numbers And the scripture says one of the blessings is that they will know the name of Yah, and then they will fear his people. Fear meaning reverence, respect, honor, because they know we're a vessel of Yah, and they touch us and they harm us. They know there's consequences. Do the Gentile nations feel that way towards us? If not, we have work to do. And I believe we can do it together. All right, hit the thumbs up button, family. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Until the next live stream, which I'm aiming for Monday evening, 10:30 p.m., I'll see you again, family. If you need me, call me, email me, or reach out to me on Patreon and other methods, and I'm here for you. Love you, family. Get some rest. All right? Pray the Most High blessing is over you, that the tutelary spirits he assigned to you is protecting you, and that he will continue to give you a heart of selflessness towards your brother and sister so you may uphold Torah and please him in the process. Much love, family. Peace and shalom.